Okay. So yeah, since we were hearing that noise, I took this off first. But like I said, everything here actually does look really good. Sway bar link looks fine. Like on these, the best thing to check is the boot. Usually, if that breaks lets out its grease, it's not holding very well, and you can also just check and make sure they're good and rigid. Same thing down here with the tie rod. Does that feel? Nah, I was just feeling something. But yeah, it's too really tight. Boot's intact on it. And on your, you were telling me they said that they replaced your, God, now I can't think. Oh yeah, your ball joint. I doubt they replaced just that the way it's done, but I do think they replaced it in a sense. Probably it was probably, I'm guessing because of this, it was probably actually more expensive than just a ball joint would be, and this is why I'm thinking they did your whole control arm, because it does, like even the bushings here, and there's one kind of hiding back there, they even look pretty new. But yeah, this ball joint is riveted in. Shops don't usually do that usually, but a lot of parts will come that way from the factory. So I would think that if anything, they probably replaced this whole control arm, in which case a new ball joint would have come with it, permanently riveted on. But yeah, most shops, if they are going to replace just the ball joint, they will drill those rivets out, like destroy them to that ball joint out and put the next one in with bolts. That's usually how that's done if you keep the same control arm. So I'm thinking they just replaced the whole control arm. The only thing I saw, this bar here, you see where it goes in back there? Yeah, see that little bushing around it? Looks like it might be a little worn out. But that really shouldn't cause that full like shake noise, because really all this does, the sway bar link, what this does is connects this side of the suspension by the sway bar link to the other side of the suspension, so that when you turn, it holds the, whichever direction you're turning towards, it holds down the side opposite, so your car doesn't, lean too far over when you try to turn. I've seen a vehicle with the sway bar links taken off. It looked like it was going to roll over every time it turned. But yeah, that's all that does. So I wouldn't think, it might make it where it's just not quite as stiff, so it might not turn quite as fast as it used to. I wouldn't think that would be to the point of causing that noise. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything here, and yeah, I'll probably check the other side next. But since I had, half of it up, I decided I'd go underneath, and that's when I started seeing a couple things. Yeah, here you can see it. It's getting all over the starter and around the oil pan. But usually if it's going to be the oil pan itself, it'd be on all of it, and the back side of the oil pan looks pretty clean. I'm afraid that it might actually be coming from the rear main seal. If that's the case, I don't have the means to replace that. You would actually have to go through a full shop to do that, because it requires your whole transmission be taken down. That's what the rear main seal is. It's where the rear of the engine connects to the front of the transmission. It locks the oil in the engine at that point, and you have to take the whole transmission off the vehicle. I don't have large enough tools and resources to do that, but I've had another customer that I've done that had a problem similar. He had an oil pan that I wasn't able to take down because in his case, a bracket run underneath it where you couldn't get it without removing the whole engine out of the car. And so I was able to do it. But we did do Lucas engine oil stop leak, which you do at an oil change time. Combined with, he had a seal on the front that was leaking too. We did replace it. And it went from, it was so bad that at first, if you drove it for even a good 20 minutes or so, there was so much oil leaking that it would, it'd be burning off the exhaust pipes. You'd see smoke going everywhere. Once we did all of this, no problem. It was probably, it might have still been leaking a tiny bit, but so little that all I really had to do was just kind of check his oil every so often in between oil changes, and that was it. No more smoking, nothing. So that worked perfectly well enough. But yeah, I'll try to see if I can find out for sure if it's the oil pan or if it is the rear main seal in between this and the transmission. That's what this is doing, is bolting up around the transmission. And then this is the motor mount I was talking about. Yeah, you see the metal of it. It looks like it's actually starting to crack open. Now this I can do. You don't necessarily have to take the engine out of the car. You just got to use a jack to kind of support it, because that is kind of holding the bottom. So yeah, I can do that. I would just have to find a good strong point, see what the best point of the engine is, probably on a flat part of the oil pan to hold it up with a jack. Then I can just take that out, put a new one in, you'll be good there. So yeah, I'm going to track down this leak, see where that's coming from. In fact, with your starter being that coated, you might have your starter go out after too much longer, which that's not that big a deal. We can get you one. That was one where AutoZone's beneficial. They do have lifetime warranties on those, so you can get a starter there, and then you never have to pay for at least the part. You still have to pay for the work to get it replaced again. You don't have to pay for the part. You just go and swap it out, and they'll cover that for life. But yeah, it's possible that getting that covered in oil, it may go out eventually. But yeah, I'm going to track this down and see what's going on. And yeah, you'll want to worry about that motor mount at some point. As that gets worse, your engine's going to get shakier and shake the car more.